All right. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here. This is the District Attorney's office's regular Monday press conference. Thank you so much, Rita. Appreciate it. And as always, during this conference, we will give a weekly gun crimes update, but we are also going to talk about a special topic, and the special topic today will be a further award of violence prevention grants to 3 youth cycling organizations in Philadelphia. We're very excited by that. I want to acknowledge some of the people who are here, first of all, and if I leave you out, please don't take it the wrong way, because we really appreciate everything that all of you do. We have with us First Assistant Robert Listenby, Assistant DA Joanne Pescator, who is the supervisor of the DA Homicide and Non-Fatal Shooting Unit. We have Reverend Myra Maxwell, Executive Director of the DAO Victim Support Services Division, and with her Melanie Nelson, who is the Director of the DA Assistance, Response, and Engagement for Survivors Unit, otherwise known as CARES, which provides intensive services during the first 45 days to the families of homicide victims. We have Jesse West, who is the Executive Director of Neighborhood Bike Works here. We have Naima Miller, who is the parent of 2 youth participants in the program in Neighborhood Bike Works, and they are Hasim and Kabira. And Naima is also a youth aid panel volunteer, which is an absolutely wonderful thing to do. And wherever you, there you are. Naima, thank you for all the great work that you are doing for kids. We have Caroline Winchell, who is the Director of Development and Communications for Bartram's Garden. And we have Derek Howie, board member of the Philly Pump Track, which is our host today. Mike Plasha, also known as Hoodrich, who is with the Philly Pump Track. Ed Holloway, who's a participant and an employee of the Philly Pump Track. Chris Leggett, who's a participant and also an employee of the Philly Pump Track. I've come to learn that Chris is the one who recruited Ed. Is that right? Okay. And I've come to learn that they seem to agree on which one's better on a bike, but I don't want to say which one is better on a bike. We'll find that out in a minute. We also have Rita Robinson here, who is an executive board member for the Winfield Community Neighbor Association, and she has brought a brilliant young cyclist, or maybe I should say pushist, because there are no pedals on the vehicle yet, and that is Grace, who is here with Rita. Let me switch, first of all, to some of the gun violence data that we cover every week, and we're going to cover it again today. So as of May the 22nd at 11:59 p.m., there were 186 homicides year to date in Philadelphia, which obviously is awful. There were 201 homicides on this date last year, so that represents a decrease of 15 or 7%. That is not as good as what we saw about a week ago. We were at a decrease of 10%. It has in fact been a rough patch. There were 8 homicides and 36 non-fatal shootings between May the 13th and May the 19th of 2022. By way of comparison, what we have found during the pandemic is approximately 1.5 homicides per day. So roughly during the pandemic, we've seen 10.5 homicides a week. This is 8 homicides. Obviously, it is awful. The only good thing I can say is it's slightly better than that average, but it is awful, and there's much work to do. During the week of May the 13th through the 19th, there were 152 gun-related incidents. Now, that includes gun possession cases. 66 arrests were made by law enforcement out of those 152, and 65 cases were opened from the 66 cases police sent to the DA's office. We are the ones who open and charge those cases. The median bail, once again, is failing us. The median bail for illegal possession of guns was set at $112,500, even though in the vast majority of those cases we are requesting almost $1 million, so that's about 1/8 of what we requested. No, we do not set bail. Bail is set by judges. The median bail set for violent offenses with guns was set at $300,000 in every single one of those cases, almost without exception. We request about $1 million bail, and that's about 1/3 of what we're requesting. The only good news there is it used to be even lower, so it is slowly and not so surely trending in the right direction. But once again, it's a lesson in why we need to get rid of a cash bail system and go with a system where money has nothing to do with it, and truly dangerous people are held, and people who are not dangerous get out without money being involved. I'm going to turn to a few incidents that occurred over the last week. There's a double shooting that occurred Saturday, May the 21st at about 9:50 p.m. in the 1400 block of South 23rd Street in the 17th District. Victim number one is an 18-year-old black male, shot once in the left wrist and once in the shoulder. He was transported to Jefferson, placed in critical but stable condition. Victim two, also an 18-year-old black male, shot multiple times throughout the body. He was transported to Presbyterian and placed in critical condition. There is no arrest made by PPD at this time. The investigation is ongoing. A firearm was recovered. Anyone with information should contact PPD's Shooting Investigation Group at 215-686-8270. And I can tell you, and I'm happy to tell you, that anecdotally I'm hearing that the Shooting Investigation Group, which of course we thought was a great idea by the commissioner, is doing well. That things are looking up a little bit in terms of some of the investigations. This is, after all, a city where in the last 5 years, out of 10,000 shootings, overwhelmingly of black males, 8,000 have not been solved. So it's wonderful to see that there's some traction coming from Captain Johnny Walker and the Shooting Investigation Group. We're delighted to see that. Second incident is a triple shooting that occurred on Saturday, May the 21st at about 9:43 p.m. at 100 South Columbus Boulevard in the 6th District. 3 juvenile victims were shot. Victim number one, a 14-year-old black female, was shot once in the foot. She was taken to Jefferson in stable condition. Victim two, a 14-year-old black female as well, was shot once in the left foot and taken to Jefferson in stable condition. Victim number three, a 14-year-old black male, was shot once in the right rib and taken to Jefferson in stable condition. Once again, no arrest has been made, but anyone with information should contact the Shooting Investigation Group, 215-686-8270. Third incident is a pedestrian vehicle investigation on Sunday, May the 22nd at about 2:11 p.m. in the 1300 block of North 53rd in the 19th District. Officers observed a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed. The vehicle was found to be stolen in a point-of-gun carjacking earlier that morning. A 16-year-old black male on a bike was struck by the vehicle, and the occupants of the vehicle fled. Suspect number one was apprehended at 53rd and Thompson Street. Suspect number two was apprehended at 55th and Master Street. Charges are pending for both suspects. A BB gun was recovered from a fanny pack worn by one of the suspects, and the fanny pack was recovered from a trash can near the scene. The 16-year-old was transported to CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, in critical but stable condition. As with all of these, ADA Joanne Pescator, who is the chief of our Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit, will be available to answer questions during the Q&A. It is now my pleasure, as I do frequently, to introduce Melanie Nelson, who is the director of the DAO's CARES unit. That unit, of course, is a part of our larger Victim Witness Support Unit, which is run by the Reverend Myra Maxwell, who is here as well. Melanie Nelson will be mentioning that the CARES team responded very heavily during this last week to 11 families between May the 13th and May the 19th of this year, providing 23 different services to those families. Those services included advocacy, crisis support, and referral services. It is my pleasure to call up the very hardworking and very active Melanie Nelson.
Thank you so much. And I'll ask my boss to come and stand with me. Last week was very, very...
Sorry about that.
I'm going to stand. Last week was very, very trying for the CARES unit and the Victim Services unit. I just want to paint this picture for you. My boss had a death in her family, but we are emailing each other at 6 a.m., beginning at 6 a.m. in the morning when the homicides occur. So my boss has to put her personal life on hold, not because she has to, but because she wants to. It's her passion. And we care about everyone in the city of Philadelphia that has suffered, the family members that has suffered from a homicide. So we are boots on the ground. We're working every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We are deployed to crime scenes. We do home visits. We are deployed to the hospitals. And we are offering free services to all of those affected by a homicide. But I'm asking you to please, when you see us in your neighborhood, know we're there because we care. Know we're there because we love you. But we also need love also. We have things that take place in our lives that we have circumstances that are unforeseen. So I just want you to know that we love you and we would like for you to love on us. Peace and love. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So this is the first time in 2022 when we have had an opportunity to provide some micro grants to support organizations that work with youth in ways that push back against gun violence and push back against crime by offering positive alternatives to people who are in danger of being on either end of the gun. We gave out a considerable amount of money last year. I think it was close to $700,000. All of this money comes not from our budget, not from taxpayers, but it comes from people who are investigated. Realistically, we're talking about people dealing drugs. By law, this is money that we are not permitted to use for our own salaries or to otherwise reduce the budget. It must be used for the purpose of dealing with blight, the harm that is caused by crime in general. And so we cannot think of a better way. As it gets sunny, as it gets hot, we cannot think of a better way to use some of those funds than to support some truly wonderful local cycling organizations in a city that every day seems to love its bikes more and more. I love them so much I brought my bike, as a matter of fact. The three organizations that we will announce very shortly are represented by some fascinating people. They will come up one after another and in groups to explain the work that they are doing. And we will have an opportunity to present them with a symbolic check, which is too big to carry on SEPTA and too big to take to the bank. But they're also going to get a real check that looks a lot like the symbolic check so that everybody's happy. You have your photographs and they have their money. That is the idea here. We will be calling up in sequence the following groups: Neighborhood Bike Works, Bartram Gardens, and the Pump Track, and I'm going to do that in just 1 second. I do, however, want to recognize that we had here today, I don't know if he's still here, but we had here today a representative of Councilmember Curtis Jones, Brahim Balin. Councilmember Jones would have loved to be here, but he's a busy guy. And there are a lot of legislators I spoke with or with whom I have spoken who are very excited about what's happening here. But due to the demands in Harrisburg and in Philadelphia right now, and also due to health issues, many of them could not be here, although they wanted. I have a specific comment from Pennsylvania House Leader Joanna McClinton with reference to Bartram Gardens that I will provide at that time. But let me do this. I'm going to call up Neighborhood Bike Works first, and I am delighted to announce that we are granting them a $20,000 micro grant to continue the amazing work that they have been doing in Philadelphia for a very, very long time. With that, I would like to call forward Jesse West, the Executive Director, Naima Miller, and if Mr. Abdul Rashid has been able to make it, I know he had a conflict, call him up as well. Would you please come forward? Come on in, Naima. All right. And here's the one that works at the bank.
Thank you so much.
All right. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. So at Neighborhood Bike Works, we work with youth ages 8 through 18, and we have a tiered system of programming that's all about bike mechanics and bike riding. So we do group ride programs and we do bike mechanics programs, so our youth know how to fix and maintain their own bikes. Something that I wanted to say today is that there are some guiding principles that, there are some guiding principles that we use in all of our programming. And I think it's really applicable to all of the initiatives that we're going to talk about today. First, we provide a safe and supportive space. That's a space where our youth feel like they belong. We provide access to engineering strategies, so that's hands-on mechanics and problem solving. We provide social and emotional development opportunities, and that's all about giving and getting respect. We explore new places with our youth so that they know where they can go on their bikes. We promote physical fitness and health and making healthy choices, and we also promote career readiness, building youth's confidence and potential. And I'd like to introduce Naima. She has 2 youth that are in our programs, and she's going to talk a little bit about the impact she's seen in her family.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Naima Miller. I joined the program. I allowed my children to join the program last October. I was looking for a bike to purchase for my oldest son, Hassan, and I was referred to Neighborhood Bike Works because I wanted to support a neighborhood, a small business, so that they can gain profit from it and utilize the money. And I was referred to them, and I went on the site and I seen all these programs. I was like, oh shoot, we don't have this down here in South Philly. Let me sign up. So I signed up. I received a call like September, and they asked me could my children join. I said yes, both of them can join Tuesdays and Thursdays. My daughter didn't start initially, but she started in January. So with my son, Hassan, he enjoyed learning how to work on a bike. He had a bike, but never learned the concept of how to repair a flat, any of the things, just a brakes or anything. So with him doing the program, he learns how to impact on other skills that he didn't know that he had. Also, he was able to meet other people and engage with other youth, and also to learn not just about his neighborhood, but a different neighborhood, West Philly. He attends school at Boys Latin, but that's what he knows, Cedar Avenue back. And as Jess said, they do bike rides, so they rode to Fairmount Park, and he was like, Mom, look at that. I said, oh, I know about the neighborhood. And my daughter joined, and my daughter is like non-sociable, but she's sociable. She doesn't really interact with a lot of people. So when she's a little shy, and she was able to open up, and she was the second girl in both programs. So she and the other young lady, they connected, and me and a couple of other parents that were there connected also. So not only does it to engage, but it also gave them a lesson of independence and dependence, because they have to be dependent on one another in order to succeed. My son will now, thank you to Jess and Mustafa, will be working the summer program with them. So I am fortunate to have been blessed to have both of my children involved. But also what I learned, I never thought about biking as a sport. Bike riding was just bike riding. So I learned some history from attending Neighborhood Bike Works and the different programs in outskirts outside of Philadelphia in Montgomery County. We went to a tricycle place and learned about Major Taylor and some other young athletes who are doing major things. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Those are wonderful comments. All right, it is now my pleasure to introduce Caroline Winchell, Director of Development Community, Director of Development and Communications for Bartram Gardens. But first I want to make sure you have some remarks from Pennsylvania House Minority Leader Joanna McClinton, who is so diligent and hardworking. She was in Harrisburg early today, but she's everywhere. Joanna McClinton states, quote, Bartram's Garden provides a beacon of hope, light, and endless possibility for our youth in Southwest Philly. Countless children benefit from the summer programming, and many become employees at the Sankofa, S-A-N-K-O-F-A, Community Farm. I am proud to be an advocate for this city gem in Harrisburg, and I'm appreciative to District Attorney Krasner for wisely reinvesting into this entity. With that, it is my pleasure to present the symbolic and the real check to Caroline Winchell of Bartram Gardens. Good job. All right. And here's the real money.
Thank you. Thank you.
Try to keep the mic close because the lawnmower is
Loud, yeah.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Glad to be here from Bartram's Garden. Some of you may be thinking, well, Bartram's Garden, there's no biking in that name. Bartram's Garden is many things to many people, as Rep. McClinton has shared. She is much more eloquent than many of us. Bartram's Garden is a 50-acre public park down in Southwest Philadelphia on the tidal Schuylkill. And what we really want to be sure of is that all of our neighbors, children, youth, families, everybody knows that it's a space to come and be building a relationship in nature, building a relationship that feels safe and supportive and welcoming, just as Jesse said about the work that they're doing over at Neighborhood Bike Works. And we've been very fortunate. We have a trail system that runs through Bartram's Garden, and you may, when you go over the Grace Ferry Bridge, you may be seeing that that trail is getting close to connecting with the Schuylkill River Trail that runs through South Philly and Center City. So our work at the garden has really been about making sure that our neighbors feel excited themselves to be on that trail and have everything that they need to make sure that Southwest Philadelphia feels like a good, safe place to be biking. So we've to work with a number of partners, like the Bicycle Coalition, like Neighborhood Bike Works, like our local elected officials, like the local Southwest Philadelphia Community Leadership Circle, to think about access to biking in Southwest. And access means more than just you can get to the place and you can afford the thing. It's about making sure it feels like a safe place to go, bring your family, bring your kids. And so we're really grateful for this grant. Thank you so much. It will do good work. I was talking this morning, I have a 2-year-old, and I told him that I was going to talk with some people who were giving Bartram's Garden some money. And he said, Bartram's Garden, I took my scooter there. And that's how we want everyone to feel, that it's a place to come and build a relationship in nature, however feels fun and safe for you, because that will benefit all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you. All right, last but not least, I'd like to call forward the pump track. And that would be Derek Howie, who is a board member, Mike Plasha, also Hoodrich, who has been doing cycling work for a very long time, and among other things, in working with youth. Also has his own clothing brand, I think I heard. And as we know, when you're young, you can't do anything without the right clothing. Ed Holloway, who is a youth participant, and Chris Legg, another youth participant who talked Ed Holloway into working with the program. I would also like to invite to come forward Rita Robinson, who's an executive board member with Winfield Community Neighbor Association, and her little buddy Grace. And with that, the symbolic and the real check.
Can you guys slide a little bit past the podium on this one? Please.
Yes, let's get everybody in here. Everybody get around the... Okay, come on, young fella, get up in there. There we go. There's the real one. With that, we are delighted to hear a little bit more about your organization.
My name is Derek Howie. I'm one of the board members of Philadelphia Pump Track. You have to excuse me, I'm not much of a public speaker, and I was quite sad and a little upset to hear the statistics, the crime statistics, and I just need to hear an applaud for the positivity of our community leaders here that are here today. because we seem sad. It seems like we're at a funeral. So could we give a round of applause to our community leaders, please? Thank you. The pump track originated, and I came a little bit later, so I don't know the history, but what I can tell you is an amazing resource that serves our community. There's a lot of work ahead of us to get all of our community involved. It's a lot of fun. It teaches responsibility, commitment, and more importantly, happiness with our youth. We welcome all partners. We thank you all for being out here. We thank you, Larry, for what you're doing for our city, our communities, and we just hope that everybody stays involved. Thank you. Yes, I did.
My name is Edward Holloway. I'm an employee for the pump track, and Christopher Leggett right here. And Christopher Leggett right here, he was the one who introduced me to the pump track around 2014, and I didn't even know this place existed. I didn't know what it was, especially pump track. I didn't know what pump track means. It's a bike track, and he brought me here. For the first time, I was terrible. I was on a small track right here, as you can see. It wasn't even paved yet with the asphalt, and I fell almost every time. And I remember, like, we had to do like 10 laps around here without pedaling to even get access to over here. That took a couple days for me, honestly, and it was pretty fun. It was like a new experience, especially the way you have to ride on the track here. It's pretty different from what you do when you ride in the street and stuff. And I remember when I first did the 10 laps around here without pedaling. That took forever. I was exhausted, but I felt accomplished because it was super hard. And when I got over here, instantly fell. But we don't talk about that. And the track since then has changed a lot, because as you can see now, the burns over the edges, they're now paved with asphalt. It makes it feel faster, smoother, and it's easier to manage. And it's the same with the big track over here. You probably can't see it, but and with the asphalt being there, it makes it smoother and it's better to ride. Obviously, you're gonna need a little bit of protection, because if you fall, you will get messed up. But it's pretty fun. It's a new learning experience, and I think people should come down and ride. That's my piece.
Keep that mic up close to you.
All right. Hello, I'm Christopher Leggett, the better writer. Edward said a lot about how it is getting here, because being the one who introduced him, when I got here, I was by myself. So, but of course the staff taught me what to do, but I had to get used to it myself first so I could show him. But once I did, I realized, like, I could sit in the house, stay in the house, stay out of trouble, whatever. Or I can find something to do outside. And I heard it when they opened on the on TV, because I used to ride my block up and down. It's only one block. There's only so much you can do. But I used to ride up and down my block with my friends. It was like 6 of us. Called ourselves a biker gang, like we was tough. And eventually when I found this, I immediately knew I had to bring everybody here. It's so fun and innovative to be here. I'm like, you have so much to do. Between the 3 tracks here, you can literally go from beginner to intermediate to expert, all at your own pace. No one's gonna push you to the next level. So it really helped keep me out the streets and everything, and that's why I really want a lot of people to get here, because to stay out the streets, to stay out of here, to be safe, you get to go home at the end of the day. You don't gotta step out into the street and wonder, I'm gonna see my mom again? Am I really gonna make it back for dinner that day? Like, that's terrible. That's terrible for your mother to think at that point. So knowing you're here, knowing you're safe, you can bring your friends, y'all can all take turns. It's just fun for everybody, and it's a space to get together. That's why I like seeing it grow, because before we used to not have these dirt jumps, and the track changes over time, so you always got something to learn. Don't think even because you mastered it that you won't fall, like, randomly, because if you don't pay attention, you will fall still. Trust me, I know. I watched him do it. So, yeah, it's just, I really want people to come out here and listen to that. That you can come out here and ride your bike. You don't gotta be out here doing all this. It's fun. There you go.
Hi, how are you? My name is Mike Plasha. I'm also known as Hoodrich Bike Life. A few years ago, I came to the pump track. I started riding bikes. I ended up getting involved with the Philly pump track. And then shortly after getting involved with these guys, I started my own clothing brand. And since then, you know, I got sponsored by SE Bikes, which is the biggest bike brand in, you know, America. So, you know, I've been riding for them. Just all the kids start looking up to me. I'm able to reach them. So I've been doing a lot of, you know, rides with the kids. We try to do a lot here where we bring them, get the kids off of the streets for the day to the track, you know, let them experience different parts of the bike life and all that. And just the Philly pump track is what really introduced me to what I'm doing right at the very beginning. I found out about this place, and then just from then on, I've been reaching so many kids throughout the city, have them come out, ride with me for the day, keep them out of trouble. We've been doing, you know, so many events, all that, and I'm just glad that we got places like this to bring the community together to, you know, get all the kids in one place, and for me personally, be able to reach out to them and talk to them and share my past experiences and try to help them become better versions of their own selves. So I just want to thank everybody that's been here, you know, the district attorney's office, everybody for helping us out with funding to keep this going, and just all the community support, and just everybody who rides their bike. We appreciate you. Just everybody come together and, you know, help stop the violence, keep each other safe, even if it's only for one day at a time. That's all we can do. Thank you, guys.
Thank you to everybody from the pump track. Now, I want you to know there may be a small ride-out happening here at the pump track after we're done with the questions. There's been a lot of bragging about who can ride and who can't ride. I might have to ride too. We might have to see what happens right after. Hoodrich, you hanging around?
Yeah, definitely.
You guys gonna ride?
Yes, sir.
Grace looks a little tired. Grace may or may not make that ride. But anyway, finally, before we go to questions, it is my pleasure to introduce First Assistant Robert Listenby from the DA's office to give maybe a larger perspective here. Bob Listenby not only has dedicated his entire career in criminal justice to juveniles, having held a number of very important positions. One of those positions was the chief of the juvenile unit of the public defender's office for decades, but he was also selected by President Barack Obama to be the chief of juvenile justice for the United States of America in his second term. Bob knows a couple things, so I'm going to ask Bob to step up. He's a shy guy, but I'm going to ask him to step up and say a couple words about the significance of these sorts of activities. Bob?
Good afternoon, everybody. As the DA indicated, my name is Bob Listenby. I'm one of his two first assistants. I've had the opportunity to work with prevention groups all over the United States. As we began to have violence in our cities while I was working in Washington, we placed a lot of emphasis upon mentoring programs. Programs are one thing, but the real connection is between an adult and a young person. And what I really want you to understand is that even one day of contact between an adult and a young person can change the direction of the life of that child. Here we have with Pump Track and with the other bicycle groups multiple days where young people are able to work with them throughout the summer. We also have this phenomenal impact of peer groups, peers who are doing the same thing that they're doing, peers who are engaged in constructive, positive activities. Those peers are leading the way away from violence. This may not change the entire direction of violence in the city of Philadelphia, but it is an important step. What I also want to emphasize is this. So many of the organizations that we've touched through the DA's grant-making program have had founders who've come to this microphone to tell you how they founded the program. The other thing we learned is that most of those people were funding their programs on a shoestring out of their own pockets. The fact that the DA's program can provide funding for them gives them broader spread. They're going to continue funding the programs out of their pockets for sure, but they're also going to be in a position where they can contact and impact more children. This is our future. We're never going to get where we want to go without more programs like this that focus on prevention. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. All right, before we go to questions, which we'll do just momentarily, I just want to say a couple more words, if I may. It wasn't even a month ago that there were hundreds of young people riding down this very street. Probably half of them were doing wheelies. And I know that because I was not doing a wheelie as I was riding down the same street. What was happening was an event that, frankly, the media missed. It was the SE Bikes Philadelphia Ride Out, something that has happened for a few years in Philadelphia. SE Bikes is a Philadelphia-based biking company that to some extent specializes in the kind of bicycles that are used for urban riding, including this kind of riding, pump track riding. And this is something that they have done for years, but they haven't done it with the government. They haven't done it because of the government. They've done it because there is so much excitement among young people about this kind of cycling. There's such enthusiasm that they are able to get out hundreds of people simply by saying, D-Blocks, who's a famous rider like Hoodrich, D-Blocks is going to be there. D-Blocks is going to be showing what he can do down here. D-Blocks is actually a member of the SE Bikes riding team. What is happening with cycling in Philadelphia? The potential that is there is so enormous. It is so huge that we have the ability to look to other places that have harnessed it and all of the good that has come from it. Look at Colorado, where you have literally thousands of high school students who participate often all at the same time in cycling events, BMX style events that are not much different than this. Look at all the potential that offers to young people to learn mechanical skills, to be athletic, to get out everything that builds up when you are a teenage male, and I was once in the land before time. Look at all the potential that comes from that and all the good that can come from that. Look what it means to have one of your peers say, hey, let's go do this thing. You show up. You see a different way. There's something other than videos of people shooting people. There's something of significance and importance. And make no mistake, anybody who comes out of this as a bicycle mechanic is going to make a lot of money, because bike mechanics get paid a lot of money and there aren't enough of them. Anybody who comes out of it with that kind of skill may end up like one of my high school friends ended up. He and I used to work on bikes and then we worked on cars. He has become a rather significant engineer in Silicon Valley for the last 30 years after getting his engineering degree at Drexel. That is how this starts. That is where this goes. We need to take this seriously. Now, having said that, this is not just about cycling. This is about supporting prevention, something that Council Member Jamie Gauthier, who wanted to be here today but could not for other reasons, has championed over and over as she called out for $100 million to go into prevention. There is more money that has been taken from illegal activity that the DA's office is prepared to give out in micro grants to community groups. Do you know what the Philly Pump Track's budget is? Do you know what they've been working off of as you look around and you see all of this? They've been working off of $45,000 a year. They work off of the sweat and the labor of people who work for free. That's the reality. So for us to be able to give them a little bit, not just to give money to organizations that have budgets of $500,000 and more, that have been around for 20 years, that are a little settled in, but for us to be able to give them a little boost, for us to be able to say they need volunteers, they need donations, they need you to contact them, can have a real impact on what they are able to accomplish here. I hope someone during the questions will ask for contact numbers for all of these organizations, because we need everybody in Philadelphia. We need the guys with the money. We need the women with the money. We need the people with the time. We need the people with the ideas and the enthusiasm. We need all of them to come forward and support this. We cannot have more weekends like the weekend we just had. We need to have real prevention in a country that has not done it right, and real prevention in a city that has not done it right. There is no bigger lesson of the pandemic than that we have to correct our underinvestment in prevention. And if we do that, we could see a much better way forward. Are there questions for any of these interesting people here before we get on a bike. Mr. Dean.
Yes. I just would like to know how many young people are served by these two organizations, and how many more could be served, or will you anticipate will be served because of these $20,000?
Can I get one leader from each organization up here who might have the answer to that question?
I could do it.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right.
So your question was how many like young people get served here, right?
Yes. Please speak up.
Okay. There could
You
be.
gotta stay close to these mics
Oh,
too,
sorry.
so the cameras get you.
Got it. All right. It could easily be like, let's say 15 people in here, because we have bikes we can loan out once. Yeah, we have bikes we loan out for people to ride who don't have them. So there could easily be 15 that all take loaner bikes, depending, like, because we only have certain sizes sometimes. But there can easily be 15 kids in here, and things can run easily. And if you bring your own bike, we have plenty more helmets. So there can easily be a ton of people in here. Like we just did our opening jam for our seasonal opening that we celebrate. And like I couldn't make it, unfortunately, but Edward back there told me that it was just packed. It's always packed on that day, and we managed that. So really that could be the norm, and we would be able to function. So pretty much as many as you can throw at us.
And you're with what group? You're with
I'm with the pump track. Yeah, the Philadelphia pump track.
So Chris, how many days a week and how ages of the kids that come?
Ages vary from all sizes. Like her name was Grace, right?
2.
Yep. So we have all from 2 and younger sometimes, all the way up to me, who's 19, and adults like you, sir, who's clearly in his who's clearly in his 20s. So it could easily be all ages that get in here.
What days of the week are you open?
And that goes from Tuesdays to Saturdays. Yep. So pretty much all days except Mondays and Sundays. And even then, sometimes we open then for volunteers. So pretty much any day you got free, we'll be here waiting. No problem.
That would be my fourth set of 20s, but okay. Did you have another word on the total number of people? Or
Chris did a good job. Right now, our hours are limited due to resources. So far this week, we're scheduled to open Saturday and Sunday. After this thing gets cash, I'm sure we'll have more resources and open hours. Our Facebook page, Philly Pump Track, has our hours accordingly to the weeks and our resources. So if you check out our Facebook page, you'll be updated.
do you have a phone number?
No current phone number other than 267-918-5702. That is the temporary number.
So Bartram's Garden, since we're a public
Stay
park,
close to these two, please.
we're open every day of the year. We did not close during the course of the pandemic. We are open dawn to dusk every day. So you can come out anytime. As Chris said, come out anytime. Bring your bike, bring your helmet, and come down to the garden. We have more than 100,000 visitors a year. But with our youth programs, including the paid internship program that Rep. McClinton mentioned, we employ about 50 high school students every year from Southwest Philadelphia. So we have more young people on staff than the grown-ups. It's a great time of year when all of the students are there. And with our biking programs that are running this season, they're running every Friday and Saturday in partnership with the Bicycle Coalition. So every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m., youth bike ride. So that's for young people who can ride a bike already. They feel comfortable. Come on down to the garden, bring your bike, or we've got bikes and helmets to loan you. And then every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., there's a whole roster of different things happening on the bikes. We have kids learn to ride classes. So that's Grace would. She's good. She's got what she needs. But for folks who are totally new, come out and we will have instructors. We have adult learn to ride classes. There is an open bike hub if you need help with a repair, and there are also bike maintenance classes happening. Those are, as I say, Friday and Saturday, all through the season up until November. Check on our social media to see if we have, a tornado as we did this past weekend and have to cancel. And go to our website, bartramsgarden.org, bartramsgarden.org, so that you can register in advance for those classes, and then we'll let you know when there are more biking activities going on. You want the phone number too?
Yes, please.
215-581. No, I'm sorry. What is our phone number? 215-729-5281. I'm sorry. Anything else I can tell you about Bartram's Garden? We're good. Thank you. Jesse?
Hi there. So on a typical year, right now I'm just working with pandemic numbers, but we serve about 150 to 175 youth, unique youth per year. And most of those folks are coming to multiple programs, are coming in multiple times. We have programming Mondays through Saturdays. During the week, it's out of school hours. Most of the programming is 4 to 6. And then on the weekends, we have programming throughout the day. Our website is neighborhoodbikeworks.org. Our phone number is 215-386-0316. And much like Bartram's Garden, we employ a lot of our youth participants as well. So we typically employ 30 to 40 unique youth per year that earn a paycheck through Neighborhood Bike Works.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but is there any update to the Uber driver who was murdered over the weekend? I believe it was Logan.
Let me call forward our Chief of Homicide Non-Fatal.
The Uber driver over the weekend was murdered. I just wondered if there's any updates. I believe it was Logan.
Yeah, no updates right now. Thank you.
I have a question about the triple shooting at Penn's Landing. It was on South Christopher Columbus Boulevard.
Yes.
We said that the motive for the shooting was an argument. Do we know who was arguing with whom or what it was about?
No, it's still investigating. They're all juveniles, so it's still under investigation.
And also it said that the shooting happened during a festival. Do we know what festival it was?
I don't know. Sorry.
Are there any other questions at this time before we find out who really can ride? Are there any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Does anybody know where the closest hospital is? Is there? Get a chopper? All right. With that, I understand a few people may be riding their bicycles, and they said they'd show me. So I might have to follow them. Hoodrich?
You ready?
Young fella?
You ready?
You ready for a showdown? Okay. Grace? I don't think so.
No.
Grace, by the way, has the coolest push bike I've ever seen in my life. That is an amazing push bike. All right, well, thank you all very much. I think we'll be on probably that track, right? Okay, thank you.